Hello YouTube, welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about cutting the ridge. Do you know what cutting the ridge is? You probably heard about it, and I've been thinking about it. This one's already in the hone, and I thought y'all might want to know how to cut the ridge. The ridge is what happens when the piston goes up and down. The ringland is not flush with the top of the piston. It's slightly down. Well, as this goes up and down, the ring does not go all the way to the deck. It goes slightly under the deck. In operation of an engine running with a lot of miles on it, what we're going to have is we're going to wear that spot out. I'll draw a picture, I'll bring you in, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, the ridge. I'm also going to talk about the tool we're going to be using is a ridge reamer. Sometimes the older ones are better. That doesn't matter. I'm not here to tell you what type of ridge reamer to use. This is my favorite. There's 3 fingers. The inside here is going to expand those fingers. They're tapered. As it tightens up, they go out. We're going to put this in the cylinder. All right, I have this one set and already started to cut a little bit. I'll reset it on another one so that you can see what I'm talking about. And if you can see right here, you see that nice little shiny line there? That's what I'm doing right there, is cutting that ridge. And we'll talk about what a ridge is, and this is a ridge reamer. We're cutting that lip right there, and I'll explain that in a second. I'll finish this one. It's handheld. I'm just using a socket. There's nothing above on top that I'm doing. Down that shiny spot. I'm not cutting the bore. One of the common things that happens wrong is you cut too much. So you got to know when to start and when to stop. And I look at it and see when it's coming right to flush. We have a little adjuster right here. Once I release it, it just spins freely. We'll go and turn it back down. All it is like a bolt. It has threads up here and a nut, and that's what brings it up as you're turning it. So that's basically it. You have one here, little screw that sets it up. See how it moves pretty easily? That's for your different size bores. So we want to do, this is how you pull the cutter out. The cutter is a flat blade. See this long flat blade? That's what's doing the cutting. Now you also, can you see that? The blade moves. So it's going to actually follow the cylinder, which is a good thing. It's very forgiving, but you can also butcher stuff up. I've had this so long, I have rubber bands here. It used to be a spring years ago. Okay, let's see what we've done in the cylinder. There you go. You can actually see it. See the shiny spot? And we don't want to get, you know, I can do it probably one more time, but I think we're done there. I'm going to try to explain what we're doing. I'm going to try to see it, and you tell me if y'all can see it or not. Here's the cylinder right there. So there's a cylinder right there. A piston. The ring doesn't go all the way up to the top of the cylinder, all the way up to the top. So when the ring stops every time the piston is going up and down, I'm going to say it's like this. Because what happens is, as it's going up and down, it starts to wear it out like this. The ring stopping every time. Right at that spot that it stops and starts going back down, that starts every day, it starts to wear it. Now that little lip that you have there, it's this lip that we feel in the cylinder. So when you go check the ridge, you're going to go feel that lip. That lip is there because the ring stops there every time. Okay, we're going to re-ring this. If we were going to bore it, we would bore it and it'd be done. I checked this bore out with a bore gauge, and I noticed that it's still a good cylinder. For a re-ring job, for an overhaul, it's perfectly acceptable. If I were to leave this ridge here, the brand new set of rings, being nice and sharp as it's coming up and down, could actually start hitting that lip right there. Also, it's going to hammer out the ring lands in the piston because it's actually sharp. I don't know if you can feel that when I move over to the next cylinder. If you could feel that there's no ridge here now, and there is a ridge on this other one. I'm real close up because I'm still going to explain what we're doing here. So, in the normal operating of running 100,000 miles, 80,000 miles, or however many miles, it leaves a spot right there. If we hone this cylinder, the hone is going to be honing square. What we're going to end up with is like this, and we're going to hone straight. It ain't going to touch anything right here. And it's still going to leave that sharp edge right there that ring went on. If I honed this until I got rid of that, I'd have a real big bore just trying to get rid of the ridge right there. So back in the day, we would take a ridge reamer that cuts this top ridge off. So yes, the bore is going to be slightly tapered. I'm going to draw it extreme tapered on the top side, and it's not that much. And there it is like that. So we're going to cut this ridge off so when we hone it, we don't have this sharp edge up on this top. So it's basically getting rid of the spot right here. Those spots have never had rings going up and down on them. When the piston was pushed down, that's the only time the rings ever touch there. So they never wear out. Another tip of the day, if you don't have a micrometer, you don't have the sizes, is you can always mic the top of the block. That tells you what this block left at from the factory. Move over this way. If we mic the top of the block, it's not worn out. The wear starts right underneath there. Okay, all that being said, what can we do wrong? What have I seen done wrong? I've seen people get here and literally just cut that dude out like that. The Studebaker that we have here, it had 30 thousandths that they cut up here on top. The bore, when I mic'd it down here, was still standard bore. I think it had 3 or 4 thousandths worth of clearance. When they ridged it, oh my God, the whole top, about a ½ inch, they just took the whole top of the cylinder out, and it was no bueno. They just totally turned it into like a bell shape, like a funnel. One of the keys is you're going to get one of these ridge reamers if you can find one. I like to go on eBay. Don't pick on me, but if you want good deals, eBay, and they're not paying me to say that. We're going to stick the ridge reamer. This one here tightens up the bolt. These are tapered, they expand. Real simple, a lot like the Iskandarian tool. If you don't have instructions and you bought one off of eBay, this is a great video because you're probably going, I don't know how to use it, but I own one. I inherited one from my dad, from my uncle, from my brother. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. See right here, this is a little tip that how my uncle taught me. See this flat spot right here? And it doesn't matter, there's no art to it. Put that even with the deck. Done. And let's move on. Okay? And you can see, I don't want to get it too low and actually start cutting the bore. You saw that blade is flexible. Now what we want to do is we want to take and pull our blade out. This thing here is what moves the blade in and out, and it's spring loaded. So what I want to do right now, it's all the way out and it's not touching the bore. What do we want to do? Bring it all the way in and slide your cutter out. I like to go all the way out and then just back in a hair. Now we can, and it has 1, 2, and 3, how much you want to cut. I just go ahead and let it rotate a chip. So there we are. Now we have tension on it. See that? Okay. Nothing special. I'm listening. Right now it's not doing anything. That blade is just touching the cylinder walls. And it's going to start sliding up the bore as I'm turning it. And let's listen. Hear that? We're now cutting the ridge. There we go. Sorry about my hand. I don't know how else to do that. Okay, I'm all the way up now. If you keep going out the way that they did, you'll start cutting too much on the top. So once the blade comes up the top, you can see here, open your eyes and look, and you can see when you get to the top of the bore. What am I going to do? I'm going to bring my cutter in. I'm going to bring this all the way down. Sometimes the ridge is so bad you got to do a double cut. Not here. And all I'm doing is taking out that ridge, so when I hone it, it's not going to leave that sharp edge. Now the ring doesn't have something to get caught on as it's going up and down. Done. We've just cut the ridge. You see that? Can I zoom in and zoom out? I don't know if you can get any nicer than that. So I haven't cut anything on the bore. If you look at the cylinder, I'm only cutting where the ring never touched. See that? All right, let's do another one. That's it. You're done. Don't get carried away. You're not boring the cylinder. Okay, let's move over one more. This is really a simple video, and I just thought, you know what? Y'all maybe have never seen what cutting a ridge is about. We're going to go to our tips. This area right here, I want to put flush with the deck. After a while, you learn different engines are different. You know, you can go higher or lower. It depends on how far the ring goes up the cylinder, but it doesn't matter. We want to be underneath the ridge, so as we're coming up, it'll catch the ridge and cut it. But we don't want to put so much load that we're actually cutting the bore. That you don't want to do, okay? The center here expands it. It's tight. This spins and go all the way down and come out one turn. Pull my cutter out. It's spring loaded. Right now the cutter is just sliding on the bore, but it's not cutting anything. You can even see, if you can see the bore, it hadn't done anything. It's just sliding on the bore, and once it hits that ridge, we're going to start cutting. Sorry about my hand, but there. You hear that? Look at that. Or listen to there. I gotta stop my hands moving, but instead of doing like a ratchet, I really like to go all the way around. So excuse the hand. And I'm watching till I get to the top of the bore. Bring my cutter back in. Go ahead and turn it back down. It's a simple tool, real simple. I prefer this one. I think it's made by Lyle, but there's several different ones out there. Look at that. I wish you could feel it. There's no ridge anymore. The ridge is gone. So what have I done? I've cut the ridge on these. Now I can back off a little bit just so you can see what I'm talking about. I've cut the ridge. There's no more ridge anymore. Before I could grab the block from here. This one wasn't too bad, but the ridge is gone now. Gone. And if you see, I'm only cutting the top. I'm not touching the cylinder at all. The blade just slightly touches the cylinder. It's a wide blade, and as it comes up, it starts to cut. So as it's coming up the bore, this is riding right up against the bore. It catches that ridge. The top of this has like a little 45-degree cut right there, and that's going to start cutting it. And this is basically just sliding on the bore. And it's going to come up and get rid of the ridge. It's a simple tool. Now you know how to use the tool. You may have one of these in your dad's, your grandpa's, your uncle's toolbox, and you're wondering, I've seen that before and I didn't know what it was for. Now you know how to use it. This one is extremely old. I had it since I was a kid. Still have it, and I still use it. So all right, this video was just, like I said, to help you learn how to use a ridge reamer. Some of y'all may never use a ridge reamer, but now you know what ridge reaming is about and how to use a ridge reamer. I want to flip it to the other side, and we'll get the other side done with the camera out in the back. Maybe I won't, and maybe I'll just get back to work. I don't know, but thanks for watching. If this helped you, hit the like and subscribe. Tell your buds, tell your friends. As for me, I'm getting back to work. And we'll see you on the next one.